If you've been looking for a digital command center, you've probably heard the names Hearth and Skylight. These are the two top competitors in this space, and I've had the opportunity to use both of them. I'm gonna break down what they have in common, their key differences, and everything you need to know before you make a decision on which one is right for your family. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I have been dreaming about a Hearth display in this hallway ever since we bought our home. I have been eyeing it since it was a Kickstarter. However, the one we got first was the Skylight. Let me start by saying that with either of these calendars, you're gonna want the subscription membership. You are not gonna experience their full range of capabilities without it, and the functions added with both subscriptions are well worth their cost. We're gonna dive a little bit more into that later. For now, let's talk about the Skylight. This is a budget-friendly option because it comes in 3 sizes. The 10-inch is the smallest. It starts as low as $150, and then it goes up to $599 for their largest 27-inch max, which is about the same size as the Hearth display. The cool thing about the Skylight is that the smaller models can be mounted on a stand, so you can keep them on the counter if space is an issue for you. If you want to have it in one place, you do have the option to mount this to the wall. The 27-inch display has to be mounted to the wall, just like the Hearth. While the Hearth is the same size as the Skylight Max, this one can only be installed in a vertical position. I happen to like that because I feel like it's a lot easier for my littles to reach without being installed too low to where it's awkward to use. With the Skylight Max, you can install it horizontally if you choose to. While I don't have experience installing the Skylight Max, I can tell you that this installation was insanely easy. It came with actually I can probably show you that it just slides on. This bracket has a level built right into it. So you literally measure the height and they give you height recommendations. You mark where your 4 holes will be. You pre-drill holes, you put in wall anchors, screw the mounting brace on. The cable fits right in here. Then when you slide it on, literally the easiest thing ever. One more thing I love about the Hearth display is that it uses an e-ink display, which doesn't cause the same eye strain that the blue light from an LED display uses. It also uses a lot less energy. So you can see the Hearth display has a privacy mode in which you can choose a wallpaper to display. That way you keep all your business private, and also it's a lot nicer to look at than your to-do list all the time. With the Skylight Calendar Plus plan subscription, you can use it like a digital frame and cycle through photos, so that's kind of cool. The Skylight Calendar and the Hearth display both have a sleep mode for their display. To be honest, it's never worked on this. I'm not sure why, if it's just a glitch or not, but it is nice with the Hearth. It turns off by the time we go to bed every night and it turns back on the morning before we're awake. I love that it uses less energy that way, and in the evening you don't have this like bright light going on. Okay, let's get into calendar mode. So on the Skylight, you can see you have your month view, you can do a week view, and then you can also do a day view. You can see that there are different color-coded events. So each of these colors corresponds to someone in our family, which I kind of like because it's easy to see the event, and if you have your color memorized. No, we have 8 kids, so that's a lot of different colors here. I don't quite have each of their colors memorized, which leads me to one of my favorite things about the Hearth is that it's so personal. To me, the Hearth just feels so much more family oriented. I love walking by and seeing all of our kids' pictures, and just like our whole family right here. It just makes my heart happy every time I see it. But it makes it so easy for the littlest ones of our family to know which list or which routine belongs to them. Okay, so with the Hearth, you can see the calendar view, you have the month, you can go to week, and you can go to day if you just want to see what's on your agenda. We're wide open, apparently. I will say, I saw a thread online complaining that the Hearth had like a lag to it, but even as I'm doing it now, you can see that this is way more responsive even than the Skylight Calendar was. So you can see the calendar mode again. You do lose some of the visibility without the color-coded calendar events. However, you do have a little colored dot that corresponds to each kid. So they still have their own colors. So it's still separated this way. If you are like minimalistic or you like things to be aesthetic and clean, this is gonna be a better option for you because you're not gonna have giant colorful blocks everywhere, but you still have the ability to see that. I love these ones that are highlighted completely are events that have our whole family assigned to. You can see all the little bubbles right there. So adding an event is really easy. You click on the plus, add an event. You can choose when it starts, when it ends, or if it's an all-day event, any notes that you need to include, and then which calendar you want to save it to, because this does sync with Apple and Google calendars the same way that the Skylight does. So you can see it when you have it on the week view, you do get more of that colorful, easy to see. So we have the same color coded. This is for our son, this is for our daughter. The all-day events are at the top. Instead of just blocking out the whole day in one color, you've got those listed separately, which I love. So you can see the difference on the Skylight calendar. This is the day view, so it should be the most broken down and visual. The all-day event looks exactly the same as the events that are only an hour long, so it's kind of hard from a visual standpoint to tell how long something's gonna take. A cool feature that the Skylight calendar subscription has that the Hearth doesn't have yet is the meals. You can go in here and you can create a meal plan. It's kind of cool. If you sit down and take the time, you can add in all of your recipes to a recipe box. So it'll have all the ingredients and instructions. And then you can just tap on those on the day that you want to add it to, and you can pick right from your recipe box which meal you want to make and add it in there. So your family's always on the same page as what's for dinner. Nobody's asking you all the time. And thankfully that is a feature that Hearth Display is about to roll out. So if that is an important feature for your family, you will be able to have access to it with either calendar. Okay, let's get down to my favorite function of both of these. And this is the reason that I wanted a digital command center to begin with. With 8 kids, we need as much automation as possible. I need kids to be able to know what they're supposed to do, know when they're supposed to do it, and get it done without me nagging them, without them asking me what next, and without me having to keep track of who did what all week long. So that brings us to the chore chart on the Skylight calendar. So as you can see here, I have all of my kids that each have a different chore list. You can swipe over to see them all. The way that I have it set up is with basically all of their normal daily to-dos. If I want to add anything to it, I can go in, I can add the chore, I can assign it to whoever I want. I can assign one chore to multiple people. So if it was like brushing your teeth, it's very easy to put it in and have all of my kids have brushed their teeth added to their chore lists. You can choose if it repeats, how often, every day. You can highlight, every day except for Saturdays, save it, and then it gets added. So then they come in and they can go down their list, see what needs to be done and when, and they just tap it. Maybe. This is literally like the one issue. You can see how long it took for those to actually go. But when they do them all, yay, they've completed their chores for the day. So you can see across the top, it also has this like bar that shows you 0 out of 6. Then once you tap them and they go, 1 out of 6. I tapped 2, didn't I? So you can see for Adeline's, hers are completely done. Elena has 1 out of 6 done. It should have been 2 because I did touch that a couple times, but this is not planned. So my girls were very motivated by seeing this little emoji at the bottom. Another feature that Hearth Display will be releasing very soon is a reward system for chores. I am so excited because this will be probably the thing we use the most. However, Skylight did just introduce a reward chart, which I think is such a cool concept. You can set these up only through the app, but then it allows your children to work towards stars, which they can trade in for a reward of their choosing. You can assign a different number of stars for each task that they're supposed to complete. So that's really the extent that I find useful for the chores on the Skylight calendar. They do have lists. You can do to-do lists, grocery lists. You can add something to it. And so it's just kind of a list that you essentially have to pull up here. To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it doesn't sync with your phone's list. So you would have to pull up the Skylight app. So it does work that way where you can pull up the Skylight, you can add things here or you can add things there and it goes back and forth. I do know that the syncing as far as calendars only works one way with the Skylight. So you can add things on your phone and it will go to the Skylight, but if you add things to your calendar on the Skylight, it's not gonna transfer to your phone with individual calendars. Okay, so the functionality of the way that chores work on the Hearth, I personally like a little more because I'll show you how I use them, but they're called routines here. So Each of my kids has a routine for the morning and a routine for the evening. I love that it divides it. It makes it feel a lot less overwhelming than a giant list of things to do. This makes it so easy even for the youngest kids. My 3-year-old can look at this and know exactly which list belongs to him. He can click and start his morning routine. So he can see the list of things he needs to do, and they have a little emoji next to them, which really helps for kids who can't read yet. He can see that he needs to go potty or put on his clothes or make his bed, and then he can tap each one. Let's do his afternoon routine. So there's also a card view. If you want your kids to learn habit stacking and a routine, they wake up and they do this, then this, then this is the perfect format for it. He can collect the chicken's eggs. Great job. And then when he's done with that, it swipes automatically to the next task, clean up his toys. Done that, great job. It's so exciting for kids. And then he gets a snack. So he can finish that, and then he's done that routine, and it pops on the screen and says, way to go. So it's really like hits that little dopamine trigger for kids and adults. If you have ADHD, this is gonna make your brain have all the happy feelings. So then they can have morning, afternoon, or evening routines, which is just super cool. It has the same progress bar where they can see how much of their routine they completed, and it keeps track of it for me as well. They can earn streaks when they complete their routines days in a row, and so those streaks can be traded in for a reward from me. So I will say that even though the Skylight has some features that the Hearth does not yet have, Hearth was created by a group of moms. They were the original digital calendar like this. And because they are a small business still, it takes them a little bit longer, but I know that they are seeing and hearing feedback from what we want and definitely working on updates. So I would not let a specific feature necessarily sway you unless it's something you're like, this is what I need right now, and this is the purpose of me getting this thing. You can see that they have these routines that allow me to, my big kids like it this way, that allow me to have them brush their teeth, get dressed, make their bed, and just a couple of little chores that are normal, everyday part of their rhythms. But what I love is that the list feature here is so much more functional and easy to use. So we each have our own list that I can do, and you can see when things are done, which is really great for me to be able to keep track of without having to keep track of it. This does it for me. But if I want to add something, like let's say, actually I did it already earlier, the hall bathroom. I noticed today the bathroom really needs to be cleaned. I don't have time to do it. I'm gonna throw it up here and allow anyone in my family to take that responsibility. If somebody chooses to, I will reward them. That's how we do things here, but so I can add the chore, assign it to anyone, or I can assign it to a specific child if I want to, and then click save, and it's gonna get added to this list. So my kids can easily see, okay, here's some things that are up for grabs that will earn me a reward. And then if there are other things, like Elena needs to clean her rabbit's cage, that's not a task she does every day. It's not part of her normal routine, but it's something that I know needs to be done, so I can add it to her list. When she clicks done, she gets that little dopamine reward right there. So to me, the combination of the routines and this as a chore chart is like the ideal. I love it. I just feel like it's a lot more functional for the way that we've been using this. However, the Skylight's great in that you can add in those rewards right now. That's part of their subscription plan where you can actually let kids see the reward they're working towards and trade in stars. Another thing that's really cool is on the main calendar screen, you can actually see the to-dos right from there. So if we wanted to leave this up, they can check and see quickly. I have a lot of to-dos, but I can click on that. It takes me right here. I can see what I need to get done. And then you can add multiple lists. So this is like the to-do list or chore list, I could call it. So I have a grocery list. You can create more lists if you want to do like a punch list, a school list. We do homeschool, so having a list of things that we want to accomplish in our school year would be cool. Just a lot of ways to use that. Both calendars also have AI assistance. On the Hearth, it's called the Helper, and on the Skylight Calendar, it is called Magic Import. Essentially, you can take a picture of an event flyer, or different documents, and it will automatically add those to your calendar for you. It's not a feature that I personally use a lot. As a homeschool mom, we kind of make up our own events, but if your kids are in school coming home with a ton of different papers with different dates and events on them, this is going to be a really helpful feature for you. As promised, we're going to talk about the subscription plan. So for the Hearth Calendar, the subscription is going to cost you $9 a month or $86.40 if you pay for a whole year. The Skylight Calendar is just a little bit cheaper, coming in at $79 for the whole year or $7.99 a month. To me, that's not a big enough difference to be a make or break in the decision-making process. And like I said, there are features that the Hearth may not have right now, but every single software update is included with your subscription. So anytime they roll out a new feature, you're gonna get access to that too. So when it comes down to deciding which device is right for your family, I would say both of their calendar capabilities are pretty similar. So if you are looking to organize your meal planning and have all of that in one place, or if you're looking for a highly automated reward system for older kids, the Skylight is gonna be your go-to. If you have younger kids and your focus is more on teaching them to habit stack or teaching them daily routines, self-care rhythms, and you want them to be able to follow routines and do their chores a little bit more independently, then the Hearth is gonna be your best bet. This is so friendly for users of all ages, and especially with a large family. Like I said, there is nothing to me that beats seeing my kids' faces. It doesn't just make it easier for them to use, but it also literally sparks joy in my life. So as for us and which one we're gonna be keeping and using long-term, this one is definitely the winner. I love having it up off of my countertop as well. I just like clean counters and spaces and less clutter. So having this mounted to the wall in a space that is right where our kids' bedrooms are, everybody can easily get to, is just ideal for us. So if after watching this side-by-side comparison, you decide that the Hearth Display is the right fit for your family, you can use our code for an exclusive discount. It's in the description below.